Good day, everyone. By the way, I am Catherine Opong. I report to all of you is all about principle of pest and disease control management. What is the principles of pest and disease control and management? It is combining of appropriate pest control tactics into a single plan to reduce pests and their damage to an acceptable level. Principle of pest control. The principle of pest control may include biological, cultural, and chemical control. Definition of a pest. Principle of pest is to identify pests, prevent, and their control. A pest competes with humans, domestic animals, or desirable plants for wood or water. It is a pest also injures humans, animals, desirable plants, structures, or possessions. A pest also spreads disease to humans, domestic animals, wildlife, or desirable plants. A pest also annoys humans or domestic animals. Types of pests. Insects or insecticides like beetles, caterpillars, and aphids. Beetles it would help break down dead trees. Some beetles feed on pollen and help pollinate flowers. Caterpillars. This also leaves are all about eating, how they grow into a butterfly or moth, and more. Aphids cause damage and lower agricultural yield in several ways. Insect-like organisms like spiders, ticks, and mites. Bites can be painful and irritating and could lead to serious harm if not medically treated. Microbial organisms or fungicides like bacteria, fungi, nematodes, viruses, mycoplasmas. Example of viruses is COVID-19. It is to belong the microbial organism or fungicides. Weeds or herbicides, plants growing where it is not wanted. Mollusks like snails, slugs. Snails they provide food all sorts of mammals, and slugs also can cause harms. Slugs carry a parasite could rat lungworms, which can transfer into your pet if they ate a slug. Vertebrates or rodenticides, predicides like rats, mice, birds, and kites. That's all of my report. The next reporter will followed by Fini Anino to be continue disease control and management.
Pest and disease control and management. Mao ni ang goal sa pest control. Ang prevention, which is ang pag-iwas, ang suppression, pagtigil, o ang eradication, pagpuksa. Pest control to use a control strategy that will reduce the pest numbers to an acceptable level. Mao ni siyang nagagamit tag mga diskarte sa pag-control ba para mugamay gali ang mga pesti. Mao ni siya. Munang kailangan na tong pest control. Next is to control a pest only when it is causing or is expected to cause more harm than in reasonable to accept. Pero mugamit atag pest control kung kailangan na gyud siya kanang For example, kanang daghan na gyud kaayo na nya kanang makadamage na gyud sa atong mga pananiban ana manang kailangan na ta mo gamit og pest control. Threshold levels, when we say threshold levels, mo ni siya ang strength niya kung unsa ka kuan ka kailangan nun ang paggamit sa pest control. Are the levels of pest populations at which pest control action needs to be taken to prevent the pest from causing unacceptable injury or harm. Muna diri na to may ilan kung ay kailangan na nato mag pest control kay taas na kaayo ang damage ana. Next is avoiding harmful effects. So kung unsa na to pag-iwas sa kanang mga nakapipinsalang epekto gali sa kuan atong mga tanom or unsa ba dira. Choose the pest control method that will best control the pest with the least harmful effect to the environment. So kailangan mamili tag mga kanang mga paraan gali na kanang the best gid ba kanang makuan dayon ma-effect dayon ba ng mga kuan kanang na maka-control gali din sa kanang mga pest na kanang dili mo baba sa kanang mga na damage nila ana ug bisan pa sa kapaligiran mo nang kailangan mangita taga ng mga pest control na mga paraan ba mga strategy sa pest control na kanang effective dayon ba na dili na malangay dili na mudako pa ang damages ana. So integrated pest management or IPM is the combining of appropriate pest control tactics into a single plan to reduce pest under damage to an acceptable level. So gina-combine di ay ni siya ang pest control sa mga kuan strategy ipang-combine na ba para maisa lang gali siya ka kuan plano para kanang kuan kanang mabawasan din ang mga pest na kanang nakadamage sa atong mga kuan environment. Next is to solve pest problems using IPM. Mao ni siya ang atong buhaton para masolba ang problema nato sa peste. First is kailangan nimo i-identify kilalanin kung anong ori ng peste ang kanang nikuan sa imong tanom. Tapos is kung kailangan ba nato og kuan control na kung kailangan ba nato gamiton ana. Tapos kung kuan kailangan surion nato kung unsay mga panganib ang mahatag ani gali og ang mga benepisyo. Suriin nato kung unsay mahatag aning insect sa atong tanom kung ana og unsay mga beneficiary ana. Next is choose a control strategy that will be most effective and cause the less harm to the people and the environment. Gaya ng giingon nako earlier na kailangan mamili ta or mangita tag mga strategy ba na effective dayon dili pa na mudako na ang damage kanang makuan gyud dayon siya. Use each tactic in the strategy correctly. Mao nang kailangan pag magkuan tag mga strategy dapat kanang tama atong paggamit. Integrated pest management is applied controls, mechanical control. Like kuan pag miingon tag kanang mechanical control mo nang nagagamit og mga physical na paraan tulad ng kanang magbakod or electronic kung mga wires kanang paghawa sa mga sagbot ana mo na siya ang applied controls. Next is sanitation. Ang sanitation mao ning pagkontrol sa kahinluan. Unang tanggalon ang mga nabilin ba na mga tanom nya hinluan ba yun bago ka magtanom di ba hinluan ba yun na kailangan na siya. Next is chemical control. Mo ni siyang use na tag mga pesticides na makapatay sa mga insects. Ano siyang nanamay na siya kuan chemical ana. Next is applied host resistance. Mo nang kuan kanang suppress or retard a pathogens activity kanang sugpuon gyud na to og kanang ihunong ang ilang mga sakit na gipanghatag sa atong mga tanom. Next is biological control. Morning reduction of pest populations by mga natural enemies and typically involves an active human role. Cultural control mo ni siya ang kuan kanang giniikot ra nimo ang tanom kanang for example magtanom kag kuan talong ron tapos imo na sad ing itanom ana ang kanang kuan best partner gani ang talong kay para ang yuta ana siya kanang magkuan sila kanang nindot ang pagtubo sad ba kay same sila kanang kuan same sila na kuan gitanom dira kay kuan kanang mga pang beans mo nang imo itanom sa ana mga pang beans pud mga inana ra crop rotation fertilizing ang pagpatambok sa mga yuta siya mo nang cultural control.
Hi, I'm Gisrela Mikirowa. I'm going to report the biological control. Biological control. Using beneficial organisms like insects, natural enemies, good microbes, plants to minimize pest population in a non-damaging level. Biological control agents. The first one is parasitoids. It's an organism that has young that develop on or within another organisms, eventually killing it. Examples are beetles and worms. Parasitoids are a group of insects whose larvae develop on or in the bodies of other insects, which they eventually kill it. Use against insect pests in agroecosystems. Parasitoids can develop on or within their host. The second one is predators. Predators is an organism that captures and eats another. Examples are mantids, dragonflies, damselflies, and etc. Predators is an organism that primarily obtains food by killing and consuming of another organisms. Animals that hunts, kills, and eats other animals. So that's the predators.
Insect pathogens. The pathogens that cause disease in insects fall into four main groups: viruses, bacteria, fungi, and protozoa. This chapter discusses the primary biological properties of each of these pathogen groups, with specific emphasis on how these pathogens have been used to benefit humans. So, insect pathogens are viruses or microorganisms that causes disease. Like all other organisms, insects are susceptible to a variety of diseases caused by pathogens. Mosquito, lice, fleas, and bedbugs are one of the insects that carry pathogens. So, the insects are able to transmit a number of diseases caused by infections agents, example malaria, sleeping sickness, and etc. Biopesticides are certain types of pesticides derived from such natural materials as animals, plants, bacteria, and certain minerals, for example, canola oil and baking soda. have pesticidal applications and are considered biopesticides. So biopesticides, microbial biopesticides continues the various microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, viruses, protozoa, and algae, which are used to combat variety of pests causing destruction of agricultural economy.
So we will be continue reporting, which is our part of the group, cultural control pest management. So cultural control, the purposeful manipulation of a garden, growing, planting, and cultivation. So there are some ways of or broad set of management techniques or options which may be manipulated by farmers to achieve crop production goals. So we have the sanitation, removing crop residues which touch on voluntary pest resistance, or shall we say, we will maintaining the surroundings clean or sanitize or remove the weeds since it is an it host of pest. So number two, crop rotation, planting different crops of different families on the same area but in different time or cropping season. So Calixto will be continue reporting, which is the intercropping.
Intercropping, plant different crops on the same land on the same time. The premises of companion planting is that certain plants repel insect or attract to beneficial the attack of the insect. There is no significant data to prove the value of companion but planting or intercropping, but is a certain plants to produce which confuse insect auto alternating impact as a pest. Fruit bagging is the practice of putting bags over fruit to protect the from the pest of elements and disease. This is the practice with the organic farming on the alternative pesticide. Yellow sticky traps is a common method of monitor monitoring of many pests, including the aphid, white flies, and late miners adult.
That's our report. Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone. My name is Shalome Bensig, and I am the reporter. So, our topic is all about the chemical control safe handling. So, chemical safety is the practice of using occupational chemical substances in a manner that ensures the safety and health of humans and prevent damage to the environment. So, first, identify pest problem, choose the correct pesticides. So, handling chemical substances without proper protection exposes the workers to the risk of absorbing harmful amounts of chemical through the skin. This usually happens when handling the chemical in liquid form. Second is get informations on pesticides, dosage, naming, and frequency of application, methods of application. So exposure to harmful chemicals, both indoor and outdoor, may cause many health effects, including respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, allergies, and also cancer. Similarly, wildlife and ecosystems are affected by the use of, for example, pesticides and the accumulations of persistent pollutant. Third is buy the correct product. Buy recommended pesticides to use. by a small amount or container first. So, mark the date on all containers upon receipt, and again, when reopened, attach chemical labels with all necessary information to all containers. Fourth, read the label before buying, transporting, mixing, application, proper storage, and disposal. So to immediately read the warning labels when reopening nearly received reagent chemicals. This will help to be aware of an special storage precautions such as refrigerations or inert atmosphere storage. Fifth, wear proper gear during pesticides application. So avoid intentional smelling, inhaling, and tasting of chemicals. And use protective equipment for eye protection, and make sure to wear a laboratory coat. So those are some general guidelines to be followed in laboratory handling. This involves in large-scale chemical production should be more precautions by covering their whole body with personal protections equipment, with includes gloves, clothes, glasses, and safety measures to avoid direct inhalations of chemicals. So that's all, and thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Roslyn Kilio. This is my assigned topic about the principle of pest management and chemical control. So, in the chemical control, use of synthetic compounds, chemical against insects and pests. And the oral dermal ratings of pesticides groups, they have four groups of there have a four categories, like the FPE category, meaning the color band, pesticide label, signal word, and lethal oral dose for 60 kilogram person. So first, in the FPE category, meaning first is the highly hazardous. In the highly hazardous, have the color band read. So the pesticide label is danger poison. This is the label of a danger poison. So the lethal oral dose is less than 1 tablespoon. Then the second is moderately hazardous. In the moderately hazardous, have also a color band yellow. Then the signal word is warning. Then the oral dose of this is 1 tablespoon to 120 ml. Third is slightly hazardous. The color of this also is blue, and the signal word is caution. Then the oral dose is 120 ml to 180 ml. So fourth is relatively non-hazardous. So in relatively non-hazardous, have a color band green. So it's very slightly so that have a no signal because it's very slightly, it's not very harmful. So the oral dose of this is over 180 ml. Next is the principle of pest management of chemical control.